The day my son abandoned me, he did it in the parking lot of a motel that charged by the week. He didn't shout. He didn't slam a door. He didn't even look angry. That would have made it easier. Instead, Michael stood beside his silver SUV with one hand resting on the open driver's door and spoke to me in the same calm voice he used when discussing interest rates or traffic. "Dad, you're going to have to figure things out from here." I was 72 years old. Everything I owned that mattered was packed into 2 suitcases and an old leather duffel bag at my feet. I looked behind me at the Sunset Motor Lodge. There was nothing sunset about it. The building was 2 stories of faded beige stucco, metal railings, and doors painted a shade of green that probably had a more optimistic name 20 years earlier. A soda machine hummed near the office. Somebody had left a shopping cart beside the curb. The sign advertised weekly rates in red plastic letters. I looked back at my son. "Figure what out?" Michael sighed. "That sigh." I knew it. It was the sigh he had given me for the previous 6 months whenever I asked a question that required him to remember I was still a person. "Dad, no. Tell me. We can't keep doing this." "Doing what?" "You staying with us." I stared at him. "You asked me to sell my apartment." "That was before." "Before what?" "Before." One word, as though it explained everything. 6 months earlier, I had lived in a small 2-bedroom condominium in Cedar Grove. Nothing fancy. Paid off. Safe neighborhood. Grocery store 3 blocks away. I knew most of the people on my floor. My wife, Joan, had died 3 years earlier, and for the first 2 years after her death, I lived there alone. I was lonely sometimes. Of course I was. When you spend 46 years waking beside someone, silence becomes a physical thing after they're gone. But I managed. I cooked. Badly. I walked every morning. I volunteered twice a week at a veterans food pantry, even though I was never a veteran myself. My older brother had served in Vietnam, and after he died, helping there felt like a way to keep one small promise. Then one afternoon, Michael came over with his wife, Rebecca. They sat in my living room. Rebecca brought blueberry muffins. Whenever somebody brings baked goods before discussing your future, be suspicious. Michael said he worried about me living alone. Rebecca said their house had plenty of space. Their daughter, Hannah, had gone away to college. Their son, Tyler, was 15. There was a downstairs bedroom. I could be closer to family. I could save money. They could help if anything happened. "You shouldn't be alone at your age," Rebecca said. At my age, I was 71, not 107, but I had slipped on ice the winter before. Nothing broken. A bruised hip. Michael somehow turned that into evidence that I was one frozen sidewalk away from death. I resisted. Then he said something that reached me. "Tyler misses you." That did it. Grandchildren make fools of otherwise sensible men, so I sold my condo. That was my first mistake. Not moving in with my son. Selling. There is a difference. The condo sold for $318,000 after fees. I put most of the money into savings and paid Michael $30,000 because he said he wanted to renovate the downstairs bathroom for me. Walk-in shower. Handrails. Safer tile. He refused at first, or pretended to. I insisted. That was my second mistake. The bathroom renovation cost less than half that amount. I found out later. At first, living with them was pleasant. Tyler and I watched baseball. Rebecca cooked dinner most nights. Michael and I drank coffee before he left for work. I fixed a cabinet hinge, replaced 2 outdoor lights, taught Tyler how to change the oil in his first car. For about 8 weeks, I thought maybe I had made the right decision. Then small things changed. Rebecca stopped asking what I wanted from the grocery store. The shelf they had cleared for me in the refrigerator became smaller. My mail began appearing in a pile near the garage instead of on the kitchen counter. When they invited friends over, I was encouraged to relax downstairs. I told myself I was being sensitive. Old people are constantly warned not to become sensitive. Don't take it personally. Don't make things awkward. Young people are busy. Families need space. Be grateful. So I was grateful. Grateful became quiet. Quiet became invisible. Then Michael asked if I could help out with household expenses. Reasonable. I offered $800 a month. He said $1,200 would be more fair. I paid it. 3 months later, Rebecca said groceries were getting expensive. Another $300. I paid that too. Then Michael's business had a bad quarter. He was a regional sales manager for a commercial flooring company. He made good money. Better than I ever had. But he and Rebecca also spent good money. 2 leased cars, country club membership, Vacations that seemed to require passports and photographs of drinks with fruit stuck to the rim. They were not poor. They were simply the kind of people who could earn $180,000 a year and still describe themselves as struggling. One evening, Michael asked for a loan, $40,000. "I'll pay you back in 6 months." "For what? Bridge some things?" "What things?" "Dad, do we really need to do this?" "Yes." He became irritated. That was new. "Rebecca and I have some expenses. You have a salary. You think I don't know what I make? I think $40,000 deserves a noun." He pushed his chair back. "Forget it." So I did, for approximately 2 days. Then Rebecca asked me. Different approach, soft voice. They had credit card balances, tuition expenses for Hannah, unexpected home repairs. They wanted to consolidate. I offered $15,000. Gift, no repayment. Michael accepted. He did not thank me until Rebecca reminded him. After that, the atmosphere changed faster. I think refusing the full $40,000 offended him more than giving $15,000 pleased him. That is the strange arithmetic of entitlement. People stop measuring what you give. They measure the distance between what you gave and what they wanted. Then came the night everything broke. Rebecca's sister was visiting. So were 2 couples from their neighborhood. I had eaten early and gone downstairs. Around 9, I came upstairs for water. They were all at the dining table. Wine bottles, dessert, laughter. I didn't intend to listen. Then I heard my name. Rebecca's sister said, "How long is Frank staying?" Rebecca laughed. I ask myself that every morning. Everybody laughed. I stood in the hallway. Michael said, "He means well, means well." The phrase used for children who draw on walls and dogs who destroy shoes. Rebecca said, "I just thought it would be temporary." "What does he do all day?" someone asked. Michael answered, "Walks, watches TV, moves things in the garage." I did not move things in the garage. I organized Michael's tools after he asked me to. One of the men said, "At least you've got free childcare." Michael laughed. "Tyler is 15. Free handyman?" More like quality control, more laughter. Then Rebecca lowered her voice. "Not enough. The hardest part is he still acts like it's his house." That sentence hurt. Not because I thought it was my house, because I had worked very hard not to. I had paid them, stayed out of the way, asked permission to hang a photograph in the bedroom. I had reduced myself until I occupied less space than my own suitcases, and somehow that was still too much. I went downstairs. The next morning, I told Michael what I heard. He became defensive. "It was a joke?" "Which part? Dad? Was it the part where I act like it's my house?" Rebecca was drinking. "So? She didn't mean anything. Did you?" He rubbed his face. "You always do this." "Do what?" "Turn everything into a moral trial." I asked if you meant what you said. He looked at me. That was the moment he could have fixed it. Not everything, but enough. He could have said no. He could have apologized. He could have admitted he had become careless with the dignity of someone who loved him. Instead, he said, "Maybe this arrangement isn't working." I felt something settle in my chest. "All right?" He seemed surprised. "What?" I said, "All right? You're not going to argue?" No, that made him angrier. "Some people only feel powerful when you fight to stay." I stood. "I'll find somewhere else." He nodded. "Probably best." "When?" "We have guests coming next weekend." I stared at him. "You want me gone in a week?" "It would make things easier." "For who?" He didn't answer. I packed. Emily called the second day. My daughter, 3 years younger than Michael. She lived in North Carolina with her husband, Sam. She was furious. "You're coming here." "No." "Dad, you have a 2-bedroom house and 2 dogs. So?" "And Sam works from home. He loves you." "I love him too. I'm not moving 600 miles because your brother discovered I breathe too loudly. Then get a hotel until you find a place." "I can afford a hotel." "Good." That conversation should have comforted me. Instead, I felt ashamed. Not because Emily had done anything wrong, because I had spent my entire life trying not to become an obligation to my children. Then suddenly every option sounded like somebody rescuing me. Michael offered to drive me to the Sunset Motor Lodge. Until you decide what to do, I had found 2 furnished senior apartments online. Both had waiting lists. I had called a realtor about another condo. Nothing available immediately. So I agreed to the motel. As Michael unloaded my bags, he kept checking his watch. Finally, I asked, "Do you have somewhere to be?" "Tyler has practice." I looked at the time. "Practice started in 2 hours." "All right." He handed me the room key. I did not take it. "What?" I asked. He sighed. Dad, just one question. What? When you asked me to sell my place and move in, did you mean it? His face softened slightly. Of course. Then what changed? He looked toward the motel office. Life. That is not an answer. You want the truth? Yes. You're difficult. I almost smiled. I've been difficult since 1953. I'm serious. So am I. You question everything. You judge how we spend money. You criticize Rebecca. I have never criticized Rebecca to you. You don't have to say it. Convenient. There. That. What? The little comments? I nodded. What else? He looked at me. Dad, we have our own life. There it was. Not cruel. Not loud. Worse. Final. We have our own life, he repeated. You can't expect us to take care of you forever. I stared at him. I lived with you 6 months. You know what I mean. No, Michael, I don't. He looked away. Then he said the sentence I still remembered months later. You're on your own now. I looked at my son, the boy I taught to ride a bicycle, the teenager I picked up from a police station after he got caught drinking beer behind a football field, the 27-year-old whose first mortgage I co-signed, the man whose hospital room I sat in all night when his appendix burst. You're on your own now. I picked up the motel key. All right, he hesitated. Dad, go to Tyler's practice. I didn't mean. Yes, you did. I'll call you tomorrow. No need. His face tightened. Don't do that. Do what? Punish me. I laughed. You're dropping your father at a weekly motel and worried I'm punishing you? He got into the SUV. Then he opened the window. You have money. Stop acting helpless. That sentence followed me all the way to room 214. He was right about one thing. I did have money. After selling my condo, my savings and retirement accounts totaled a little under $430,000. Not rich, not poor. Enough to live carefully. Enough that Michael could tell himself I wasn't abandoned. I was simply relocated. I unpacked one suitcase. The room smelled faintly of disinfectant and old cigarettes despite the no smoking sign. I sat on the edge of the bed. For the first time since Joan died, I wanted to cry and could not. Grief had tears. Humiliation felt dry. I opened my duffel bag looking for my reading glasses. That was when I found the lottery ticket. It was folded inside the pocket of a brown jacket I had not worn in 2 weeks. I almost threw it away. Then I remembered buying it. The previous Tuesday, I had stopped at Mason's Market for coffee. The cashier, a woman named Denise, complained that the Powerball jackpot had climbed again. Somebody has to win, she said. Why not you? I have 4 kids. God knows better than to give me that kind of money. I laughed, then bought 1 ticket. I bought lottery tickets perhaps 4 times a year. Usually when the jackpot got absurd enough to turn responsible adults into mathematicians. I never checked them carefully. Usually the machine at the store told me I had won nothing. I placed the ticket on the motel nightstand, then forgot about it until the next morning. At 6:20, I woke because the man in the next room was coughing loudly enough to suggest he had swallowed a lawnmower. I made bad coffee with the tiny motel machine, turned on the television. The local morning news was discussing the lottery. 1 winning ticket sold in Brookhaven County. I stopped stirring. Brookhaven County. That was where Mason's Market was. The reporter read the numbers. Powerball 11. I looked at the ticket, then at the screen, then back at the ticket. I checked again. My heart started beating strangely. I sat down. Read each number 1 at a time. Then I did something ridiculous. I turned the ticket upside down, as if the numbers might change from another angle. I turned it back. Same. The television said the estimated jackpot was $86 million. Cash option around $41 million before taxes. I stared at the ticket. No! I said it aloud. No! I checked the date. Correct drawing. I checked the numbers online on my phone. Same. I stood, sat, stood again. Then I locked the motel door. That made me laugh, as though somebody walking past room 214 could smell money through painted wood. My hands shook. I called no one. Not Michael, not Emily, not the lottery office. Nobody. I put the ticket inside an envelope, then inside my Bible. Joan had given me that Bible on our 10th anniversary, even though neither of us was particularly religious. She wrote inside, Frank, if you ever get lost, start somewhere. Love, Joan. I had always thought it was funny. That morning it felt like instructions. At 8, I called my old accountant, Martin Reese. Martin had done my taxes for 31 years. He answered with a mouth full of something. Frank, are you eating? Bagel? Swallow. He did. What happened? I need a lawyer. Did you kill somebody? No. Then congratulations. I'm serious. So am I. Divorce? No. Car accident? No. Tax trouble? Martin. All right, I lowered my voice despite being alone. I think I won the lottery. Silence. Then chewing stopped. What? Powerball. How much? 86 million. Another silence. Frank. Yes. Do not sign the ticket yet. I thought you were supposed to. Not until we confirm how your state handles ownership and trusts. I almost signed it. Do not tell anyone. I haven't. Not Michael? No. Emily? No. Good. I was surprised. You sound like you expected me to win the lottery. No. I sound like I've had clients ruin inheritances in 48 hours. What do I do? Stay where you are. I hate this motel. Stay where you are until I call. I am not a fugitive. You have an $86 million piece of paper and a Bible at a weekly motel. When he said it that way, staying put seemed reasonable. Martin called a trust and estate attorney. Her name was Claire Donovan. By 11:30, I was sitting in her office. She was about 50, wore dark glasses, and asked questions faster than I answered. Where was the ticket purchased? Was I married? Any debts? Any lawsuits? Any business interests? Did anyone contribute to the ticket? Was I legally separated? Was there anyone likely to claim ownership? I laughed at that one. My son may claim emotional damages. She did not laugh. Lawyers need hobbies. We confirmed the ticket was valid. The state allowed winners some privacy through a properly structured trust. Not complete invisibility forever, but enough to avoid my photograph appearing immediately beside headlines about $86 million, Claire said. Before you claim this, decide what you want the money to do. Buy a better motel. She stared at me. Kidding. Good. Then she said something Martin later told me was why he trusted her. Do not make major decisions while you are hurt. I looked at her. What makes you think I'm hurt? Martin told me your son dropped you at a motel yesterday. I leaned back. Martin talks. Accountants gossip professionally. What does that have to do with the lottery? Everything. She folded her hands. Money amplifies whatever emotion is already driving you. If you're generous, you can become reckless. If you're angry, you can become destructive. If you're lonely, you can buy people who look like friends. I don't want to buy anybody. Good. Then don't. We created a plan. Trust first, claim second. No public statements. No immediate gifts. No sudden purchases except reasonable housing. I chose the lump sum. After federal taxes and estimated state obligations, I would eventually control a little over $25 million. $25 million. At 72. I drove back to the motel in a 13-year-old Buick. I sat in the parking lot for 10 minutes. Then I laughed until my eyes watered. Not because I was rich, because the day before, my son had told me I was on my own. Now every human being I had ever met would probably want to make sure I never felt alone again. That terrified me. I did not tell Michael. That decision came easily, not as punishment, as protection. I did tell Emily. 3 days later, I drove to North Carolina. I told her I wanted to visit. She hugged me at the door and immediately started complaining about Michael. Don't. Dad. I mean it. He abandoned you. I know. He called me and said you were being dramatic. Probably. He said you refused to look at senior apartments. I have looked at 6, he said. Emily. She stopped. I sat at her kitchen table. Sam came in from his office. What's going on? I took out a photocopy of the ticket. The original was already secured. Emily looked at it, then at me. What is this? Lottery ticket. I can see that. It won, she laughed. I did not. Her laugh disappeared. How much? 86. 86 what? Million. Sam sat down without being invited. Emily stared at me for what felt like a full minute, then said, no. That was my reaction. Dad, it's real. Dad, you're repeating yourself. She started crying. That surprised me. Why are you crying? I don't know. She walked around the table and hugged me. Not the reaction I expected. Then she whispered, please don't tell Michael yet. I pulled back. You too? He'll lose his mind. He's my son. I know. That's why I don't want money deciding what he says next. Emily looked at me. There it was. Exactly. I wanted to know whether Michael would call before he knew. Whether he would apologize before a dollar entered the room. Whether my son missed me, not my bank balance. Emily and Sam promised silence. I stayed 2 nights. On the second evening, Emily asked, what are you going to do? I don't know. Buy a house? Yes. Here? No. She looked disappointed. I'm not moving away from everybody I know. I understand. You can visit. I know. Don't start acting like Michael. She threw a dish towel at me. I went home Sunday. Home. Interesting word. The motel was no longer home. Michael's house wasn't. My condo belonged to a retired teacher from Ohio. For the first time in my life, I was wealthy enough to buy almost anywhere and had nowhere I belonged. The lottery trust claimed the prize the following week. There was some publicity. A trust had claimed the Brookhaven County jackpot. No name. Michael called that evening. I stared at his name on the screen. First call in 11 days, I answered. Hello, Dad. Michael, how are you? Fine. Where are you staying? Same motel. He paused. You're still there? Yes. You said you were looking. I am. You can't stay in a motel forever. Thank you for the update. Dad. What? Can we not do this? Do what? This cold thing? I almost laughed. You haven't called in 11 days. I've been busy. Of course. Tyler's tournament. Work. Hannah came home. I waited. He did not apologize. Finally, he said, Rebecca wanted me to check on you. Rebecca wanted, not Michael. I'm alive. Good. Then he mentioned the lottery. Did you see somebody here won Powerball? I heard. 86 million. Remarkable. Mason's Market sold the ticket. Did they? You go there sometimes. I do. For one terrifying second, I wondered if he knew. Then he laughed. Imagine if it was you. I looked around room 214, the cracked lampshade, the motel coffee, my shoes beside the radiator. Yes, I said. Imagine. He laughed again. I'd definitely let you move back in. I froze. He meant it as a joke. Maybe. That's funny. Come on. No, Michael, it is. His voice changed. Dad, I need to go. Wait. Rebecca says maybe you should come for dinner next week. Why? Because you're my father. Wasn't I your father last week? That's what I mean. This has gone too far. I almost said yes. Not because I wanted dinner, because I wanted to see him. That was humiliating too. A parent can be furious with his child and still wait for him to call. That is the cruel privilege children have over us. I said, I'll think about it. He invited me for Sunday. I went. Rebecca hugged me at the door. Too long. I've been worried sick. You have my number. Her smile slipped. Tyler ran downstairs. Grandpa, that was real. He hugged me. I held him longer than usual. How's the car? Making a noise. What noise? Like a dying vacuum cleaner. Technical term? Very. We went outside. For 20 minutes, everything felt normal. Tyler started the car. I listened. Loose heat shield. Easy. When we went back inside, dinner was ready. Michael poured wine. Rebecca asked about apartments. I told them I was looking at a small house instead. Michael frowned. A house? Yes? At your age? I looked at him. What age do houses reject you? You know what I mean. I'm learning that phrase is dangerous. Rebecca said, we just don't want you taking on maintenance. I can hire people. That gets expensive. I can afford it. Michael looked at me. How much did you get for the condo? He knew exactly how much. He had attended closing. Enough. You still have most of it? There it was. Small, casual, but there. I'm comfortable, Rebecca smiled. We just want you protected. Protected. Another dangerous word. Then Michael said, actually, I wanted to talk to you about something. Of course. He looked irritated. What does that mean? Nothing. He brought up Hannah. College tuition. She was in her second year at a private university. Scholarship covered part. They had taken loans for the rest. Hannah hates the idea of debt, he said. Most people do. She's considering transferring. What does she want? To stay. Then she should stay if you can manage it. Michael nodded. That's the issue. I waited. We were wondering if you'd help. How much? Rebecca answered. About $32,000 this year. I looked at her. Then Michael. A month earlier, I would probably have said yes, even after the $15,000, because Hannah was my granddaughter, because grandparents are often easier to manipulate through the people they love most. Have you asked Hannah? Michael frowned. What? Does she know you're asking me? She knows we're figuring it out. That's not what I asked, Rebecca said. We're her parents. Yes, Michael leaned forward. You have the money. There it was. Not cruel, just certain. I felt something inside me harden. I'll talk to Hannah. Why? Because it's her education. You don't need to put her in the middle. I'm not. You either want to help or you don't. I looked at him. Interesting. What? 11 days ago, you said I was on my own. Today I'm part of tuition planning. Rebecca's face tightened. We apologized. No. Silence. You never apologized. Michael pushed back his chair. Dad, I invited you here. That is not an apology. What do you want? Me to beg? No. Then what? I want you to understand why it hurt. I was overwhelmed. You were embarrassed by me. That's not fair. I heard you. We had guests. Yes. You listened to a private conversation. I walked into the kitchen. Rebecca said, "We shouldn't have joked." I looked at her. That was almost an apology. Almost. Michael shook his head. This is ridiculous. There. What? That is why I'm not giving you $32,000 tonight. His face went still. So this is punishment. No. This is me learning not to make financial decisions while somebody is angry. He laughed. You're angry. Yes. At least you admit it. I stood. Tell Hannah to call me. Michael stood too. Dad. What? Do you enjoy making everything difficult? I thought of the motel parking lot. You asked me the same thing before you left me at sunset. He looked away. That told me he remembered. I left. Hannah called 2 days later. Grandpa? Hi, sweetheart. Dad said you wanted to talk. Yes, I'm not asking you for money. I didn't say you were. He told me. Told you what? That you're angry and trying to make him feel guilty. I closed my eyes. Hannah, how much do you know? About what? Why I moved out? She hesitated. Dad said you wanted more independence. I laughed. Not because it was funny. Because the alternative was yelling. Is that what he said? Yes. Did he tell you he dropped me at a motel? Silence. What? He drove me to Sunset Motor Lodge with my suitcases. Another silence. He said you found a place. I found a room. Grandpa, I'm okay. No, you're not. I will be. She sounded like Emily. Then she said, I don't want your money, Hannah. I mean it. I haven't offered any. Dad shouldn't have asked. That is between your father and me. No, it's my tuition. Exactly. We talked. She had a partial scholarship. She worked 10 hours a week at the campus library. She had applied for an additional departmental grant. She was willing to transfer to a state university if needed. Responsible. Clear. Not entitled. I made a decision. I'll cover your tuition, she started protesting. I interrupted. Listen, she stopped. I'll pay the university directly. Tuition and required fees. Not your parents. You. Grandpa, that's too much. I can do it. You don't have to. I know. That was why I wanted to. The difference between gratitude and entitlement often begins with whether somebody says you don't have to. She cried. I told her not to tell Michael the details yet. Not because of the lottery. Because I wanted her education separated from his finances. Claire set up a small educational trust, enough for Hannah to finish college and for Tyler to receive comparable support when his time came. I funded it with $180,000. Before the lottery, that would have been impossible. Afterward, it was less than 1% of what I had. Money changes scale. That is dangerous too. $100,000 can start feeling like pocket change when you have 25 million. It isn't. It is still somebody's annual salary, somebody's mortgage, somebody's nursing care. I forced myself to remember that. I moved out of the motel after 37 days. I bought a house, not a mansion. A brick ranch-style home on 4 acres outside Brookhaven. 3 bedrooms, wide front porch, workshop, small pond. The previous owner had been a retired dentist who loved woodworking. The shop alone sold me. I paid $610,000 cash. Michael found out because Tyler saw the house. I invited Tyler over to help me build shelves. His father dropped him off. Michael stood in the driveway staring. This is yours? Yes? You bought this? Yes? With what? Money? He gave me a look. You know what I mean? I smiled. That phrase again. How much was it? Enough. Dad. What? You told me you were looking for something small. It is small. This place has 4 acres. Grass doesn't count as bedrooms. He walked toward the porch. You paid cash? Yes. His face changed. I saw the calculation. Not lottery. Not yet. But suspicion. How much money do you have? Enough. You keep saying that because you keep asking. He lowered his voice. Did you have more from the condo than I thought? You were at closing? Investments? Yes. How much? I looked at my son. When did my retirement account become your business? He stiffened. I'm trying to make sure you don't blow everything. On a house I paid cash for? You're 72. You mentioned. What if you need long-term care? I planned for it. How? With people whose profession is planning. That offended him. You went to lawyers? Yes. Without talking to us? Yes. Why? I looked at him. Because I'm on my own now. His face fell. That was cruel. I knew it as soon as I said it. But pain sometimes waits for opportunities. Michael stepped back. All right? He walked toward his SUV. Michael! He stopped. I almost apologized. Instead, I said, "Tyler needs to be home by 9?" "Yes." Then he left. I watched him drive away. Winning the lottery had not made me happier yet. It had made me more aware. Every conversation seemed to contain a hidden price tag. Every kindness raised questions. I hated that. Emily told me I was becoming suspicious. "You can't test everybody forever." "I'm not. You are. How?" "You keep waiting to see who asks for money." "That seems reasonable." "No, it seems exhausting." She was right. I needed something that existed outside family. So I went back to the food pantry. I had stopped during the motel month. When I returned, nobody knew about the lottery. That was the beauty of it. Martha, who ran intake, handed me boxes to break down. Leon told me I stacked canned beans wrong. A retired teacher named Ruth, not my lawyer, a different Ruth, complained about her knees. Nobody cared that I had $25 million. I was Frank, the man who showed up late and drank terrible coffee. One Tuesday, a young mother came in with 2 children. Her husband had died in a workplace accident. She was 3 months behind on rent. The pantry could help with food, not rent. I listened to Martha explain local assistance programs. Then, after the woman left, I asked, "How often does that happen?" "Every day." "People losing housing?" "More than you think." That night I could not stop thinking about the motel, not my room, the people around me. A man named Harold who lived downstairs while waiting for disability approval. A woman called Jean who had lost her apartment after her husband died. A family with 2 children staying 3 doors away because a fire destroyed their rental. I had thought I was humiliated because I had a motel room. For them, the motel was preventing homelessness. Perspective can embarrass you better than any child. I called Claire. "I want to help people with housing. That is broad. Temporary housing, seniors, families. How much?" "I don't know." "Start there." We eventually created the Joan Whitmore Housing Fund. I used my wife's name. I put $2 million into it initially. The fund partnered with 2 local nonprofits: emergency rent, short-term motel assistance, security deposits, small home repairs for elderly homeowners who might otherwise be forced out. I told Claire I wanted no building named after me. No press? No. You realize nonprofits may need to disclose donors depending on structure. Fine. Just don't put my face on anything. Why? I've seen my face. She almost smiled. Working on the fund changed me. Money stopped being only a test. It became a tool that mattered. 6 months after I bought the house, Michael showed up unexpectedly. He looked terrible, not sick, tired. He sat on the porch. "Can we talk?" "Yes." He stared toward the pond. "Rebecca knows." My heart jumped. "Knows what?" "The lottery." I said nothing. He turned. "So it's true." I felt foolish. He had trapped me with 3 words. "How did she find out?" "Hannah." I closed my eyes. "Hannah knows?" "Apparently she figured it out." That surprised me. "When?" "Months ago." "How?" "She saw a news article about the trust that claimed the ticket. Then she saw one of your legal documents when you were helping with tuition. Same trustee name. Smart girl." "Did she tell you?" "No." "Then?" "Rebecca found out from Carol." I frowned. "Carol?" "Rebecca's sister." "What does Carol have to do with this?" "She works with somebody whose husband is at the bank." My stomach sank. So much for privacy. "It's spreading?" "Not yet," he laughed once. "Dad, you won $86 million? Before taxes," he stood. "That's your answer?" "What should my answer be?" "I don't know." "Maybe tell your son?" "Why?" His face went red. "Why?" "Yes, because I'm your son. The day you left me at sunset, did being your father carry the same weight?" He stared at me. "There it is." "What?" "You've been waiting. For what?" "To use this." I stood too. "I did not win the lottery to punish you." "No, you just hid it." "I hid it from everyone except Emily." His face changed. "You told Emily?" "Yes, of course." "Don't. You always trusted her more." "That is not true." "You told her." "She didn't leave me at a motel." He looked away. "That was a mistake." I waited. He had never said that before. "A mistake?" "Yes." "Meaning?" "I shouldn't have done it." "Why did you?" He stared at the porch boards. "Rebecca wanted you out, finally. Not the whole truth, but a piece." "And you?" "I wanted peace." I laughed softly. "So I was the price." "I didn't think of it like that." "I know." He looked at me. "That's supposed to make me feel worse?" "No, it makes me feel worse." He sat again. I did too. For a while, neither of us spoke. Then Michael said, "Our marriage is in trouble." I did not expect that. "Why?" "Money, of course." "What money?" "Debt." How much? He rubbed his hands. More than I told you. How much? About 170,000. My chest tightened. Credit cards? Some. What else? Home equity. You already have a mortgage. Yes. Cars? Yes. Hannah's tuition? Part. I stared at him. You make nearly $200,000. I know. How? He shook his head. Lifestyle. At least he said it. Rebecca has been using cards I didn't know about. You have separate cards? Apparently? What did she buy? Everything. Meaning? Trips, clothes, club expenses. She helped Carol with some debt. I thought of the $15,000. And you? I'm not innocent. What did you spend? Car, golf, business investments. What business? He looked embarrassed. I invested with a friend. How much? 40,000? Yes. And? Gone. I sat back, then understood. That's why you asked me for 40. Yes. Not consolidation, not tuition. A failed investment. You lied. Yes. The word came quickly. That mattered. He looked at me. Are you going to help? There it was. Not immediately, but eventually. I asked, would you be here if you didn't know? He flinched. That's not fair. It is exactly fair. I came to apologize. You came after you learned I had $25 million. He stood. I knew this would happen. What? You'd treat me like a beggar. I haven't offered or refused anything. You're enjoying this. No. Yes, you are, he paced. For once, you have all the control. I stared at him. What control did I have at the motel? He stopped. I said I was sorry. You said it was a mistake. Same thing. No. He looked exhausted. What do you want from me? I thought carefully. Nothing today. He laughed bitterly. Great. I mean it. So you won't help? I did not say that. Then what are you saying? I'm saying I need to know whether helping you fixes a problem or funds one. He stared at me. That sounds like Claire. How do you know Claire? Hannah mentioned her. Of course. Get me everything. What? Debt statements. Income. Spending. All of it. You want to audit me? Yes. I'm 48 years old and asking your father for money. His face hardened. I continued. If you want a gift, answer is no. What if I want a loan? Then I need to know whether you can repay it. He shook his head. This is humiliating. I almost said good. I didn't. Instead, I said, yes. That surprised him. I know. He looked at me. For the first time, I saw not entitlement. Shame. I knew shame. I had lived in room 214 with it. I'm not trying to humiliate you. Feels like it. I know. He left without agreeing. 3 days later, he emailed the documents. All of them. That was the first sign he might be serious. I gave them to Martin. Martin reviewed everything, then called me. Your son is an idiot. Helpful. He's also salvageable. What does that mean? Income is strong. Debt is ugly but manageable if they radically change spending. They? Michael and Rebecca. What if Rebecca refuses? Then Michael has a marriage problem, not a money problem. Turned out he had both. Rebecca refused. She found out Michael gave me their financial statements and became furious. She called me. Not Michael. Me. You have no right to inspect our finances. You're correct. Then why are you? Because your husband asked me for help. He did not need to show you everything. Then I cannot help. You have more money than you could spend in 10 lifetimes. There it was. First direct acknowledgement from her. How do you know how much I have? Everybody knows. Not everybody. This is exactly what I worried would happen. What? You'd use the money to control Michael. I laughed. She did not. Rebecca, do you remember asking me for $32,000 for Hannah? That was for your granddaughter. She didn't ask. We are her parents. Yes. You paid it anyway. Directly. That is insulting. To whom? To us. I'm not sure tuition has feelings. You cut us out. Of her tuition payment? You made it clear you don't trust us. I paused. That is true. Silence. Then she said, after everything we did for you, I almost admired it. What did you do? You lived in our house. I paid you $1,500 a month. That didn't cover everything. I gave you $30,000 for a bathroom that cost $12,000. Silence. Michael must have told her I knew. I gave you another $15,000. We fed you. I bought groceries. We changed our lives. So did I. You have no idea what it was like. I felt anger rise. Then Claire's voice in my head. Do not make decisions while hurt. So I asked, why did you want me gone? She hesitated. I needed my house back. That is an answer. You were always there. I lived there. You watched everything. What? How we spent. What we bought. When we went out. I never said anything. You didn't have to. I realized then. My presence made her feel judged because she judged herself. Interesting, she continued. And Michael became different around you. How? He questioned expenses? So I caused your debt? No. Then? She lowered her voice. You made him feel like a failure. I thought about that. Maybe I had. Not intentionally, but fathers cast shadows long after sons grow taller. Did he tell you that? No. Then ask him. He doesn't talk. Neither did I at his age. That's not helping. I know. We were quiet. Then she said, he is your son. Yes. You could erase all this debt tomorrow. Yes. Then why won't you? Because if I erase the debt and nothing changes, I'm not helping. She hung up. Michael and Rebecca separated 2 weeks later. Not because of me. I need to make that clear. Money did not break their marriage. It revealed cracks they had hidden with spending. Rebecca moved in with Carol temporarily. Michael stayed in the house. Tyler stayed mostly with him because school was closer. Michael called me one evening. I don't know what I'm doing. Join the club. I mean with Tyler. What happened? He knows we're separating. And he won't talk to me. He's 15. I know. Take him somewhere. Where? Anywhere you are, not sitting face to face asking him to discuss feelings. What did you do with me? Fishing. I hate fishing. Exactly why you talked. He laughed. Small, but real. We started talking again. Not about money. That was important. He called to ask about Tyler, about work. Once to ask how to fix a leaking outdoor faucet. I told him to hire a plumber. He accused me of losing my electrical contractor credibility. I'm an electrician. Water is the enemy. He laughed. Weeks passed, then months. He never asked about the debt again. That mattered more than an apology. Eventually, I called him. Come over. Why? Bring the financial statements. He arrived Saturday. I had Martin there. Michael looked nervous. This an intervention? Yes, Martin said. Sit. We showed him a plan. Sell the leased SUV, cancel club membership, list the house, move somewhere smaller, pay off high-interest cards, restructure the rest. Michael looked at me. And then? Then you live within your income. No. Are you helping? Yes. He looked down. How much? I'll match every dollar of debt you eliminate through asset sales and payments up to $75,000. His eyes widened. Why not just pay it? Because I want you to feel the weight leave as you carry part of it. He nodded slowly. What about the rest? You handle it. He looked at Martin. Did you come up with that? Martin said. No. I would have charged interest. Michael almost smiled. Then he looked at me. Why are you helping now? Because you stopped asking. His eyes filled. He looked away. That was the closest we came to reconciliation for a while. The lottery eventually became public. Not immediately. But once the Joan Whitmore Housing Fund expanded and local reporters followed filings, my name surfaced. The headline read, Local retiree behind $86 million Powerball Trust Fund's housing program. My phone exploded. People I had not heard from in 30 years remembered my birthday. A cousin in Arizona had a business idea. A former employee had medical bills. A woman I dated for 6 months in 1971 sent me a message saying she always wondered how I was. I did not remember her until she sent a photograph. Then I remembered why 6 months had been enough. Some requests were real, some heartbreaking, some ridiculous. One man I barely knew asked me to invest in alpaca breeding. I told Claire. She said, diversification. I said, you're fired. She said, no, I'm not. Emily received calls too. Michael received more. That created a new problem. People assumed my children controlled access. They didn't. But temptation works by repetition. One evening, Michael called. Dad, Cousin Ray says you promised Uncle Dennis money. I did not. He says you did. Cousin Ray also once sold meat from the trunk of his car. Fair. Tell him no. I already did. Good. Then Michael said something that made me proud. I'm not telling anybody what you should do with your money. 6 months earlier, I would not have believed him. Rebecca reacted differently. She and Michael were moving toward divorce. The separation had not repaired itself. After my name became public, her attorney raised the possibility that Michael had a future expectancy from me and therefore greater financial capacity. Claire laughed for nearly 10 seconds when she heard. Inheritance is not a marital asset before death. I'm glad my continued breathing has legal value. Enormous. Rebecca called me again, this time crying. I'm sorry. For what? Everything. I waited. I was cruel. That was more direct than Michael had ever been at first. Yes, I didn't think of you as a person living through losing Joan. That surprised me. Why are you telling me this now? Because Tyler told me something. What? He said the day you left, you gave him your old watch. I remembered. My father's Timex. Nothing valuable. I had given it to Tyler because he liked it. He said you told him to keep things that remind him who people were before they disappointed him. I closed my eyes. I had forgotten saying that. I was angry. He thought you meant Dad. I meant everybody, including myself. Rebecca continued. I made Michael choose. I did not interrupt. I told him either you moved out or I would. There it was, the missing piece. Why? I felt trapped. By me? By everything, she cried. We were drowning in debt. Michael was angry all the time. You were downstairs and I felt like you could see through us. I did not know about the debt. I know. You thought I was judging you. Yes, I was mostly watching baseball. She laughed through tears, then became quiet. I'm not asking for money. I know. I'm not asking you to forgive me. Good. Another small laugh. Tyler wants us to be civil. He's a smart boy. I miss being part of the family. That hurt in a different way, because she had been. Whatever happened afterward, Rebecca had been at Joan's memorial service. She had brought soup when I had pneumonia. She sent birthday cards, helped decorate Christmas trees. People who betray you are rarely villains every day. That is what makes betrayal difficult. I don't know what happens next, I said. Neither do I. But thank you for telling me the truth. We began again. Not as father-in-law and daughter-in-law exactly. Something more cautious. Rebecca and Michael divorced the following year. Amicably enough, she moved into a smaller townhome, got serious about money, canceled the club membership before Michael did. That amused me. She and I were never close again. But we became respectful. Sometimes respect is a better ending than love. My relationship with Michael took longer. The biggest test came on my 74th birthday. By then, 2 years had passed since the motel. The housing fund had grown. I had added another $3 million after seeing what the first two had done. Hundreds of households received temporary assistance. 47 elderly homeowners had roofs, furnaces, ramps, or plumbing repaired so they could remain in their homes. The Sunset Motor Lodge became one of our partner properties for short emergency stays. That was not my idea. Martha suggested it. The irony was so perfect I agreed immediately. We hosted a small birthday dinner at my house. Emily flew in. Sam came. Michael, Hannah, Tyler. Rebecca was invited because Tyler asked. Even Claire came for dessert. At dinner, Tyler stood. He was 17 by then, tall, nearly Michael's height. He handed me a small wrapped box. Inside was my father's Timex, the old watch. I frowned. I gave this to you. I know. Then why are you giving it back? Turn it over. On the back, he had engraved, "You were never on your own." I could not speak. Michael looked down. Rebecca covered her mouth. Emily immediately cried because that is what Emily does. Tyler said, "Dad told me what he said to you." I looked at Michael. He nodded. "You told him?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because I was tired of him thinking you left because you wanted to." Silence. Then Michael stood. He looked nervous. I had not seen him that nervous since his wedding. "Dad, I hated speeches, especially family speeches. They rarely end before food gets cold." But I let him continue. "I've apologized in pieces. That was true. A sentence here, a phone call there, also true. I kept trying to explain what happened." He looked at Rebecca, then at me. And every explanation had a reason I wasn't responsible. Rebecca looked down. Michael continued. "I was stressed. Rebecca wanted space. Money was bad. You were difficult." He smiled faintly. "You were difficult." Everyone laughed. "Even me. But none of that matters." He swallowed. I took my 72-year-old father, who had sold his home because I asked him to live with me, and I left him at a motel because asking him to leave was easier than standing up for him or admitting my own life was a mess. Nobody moved. Michael's eyes were wet. "I told you that you were on your own." He looked at Tyler. "I hate that my son knows I said that." Tyler stared at him. "But he should know." Michael turned back to me. "I'm sorry. No qualification, no explanation, no request. Just sorry." That was the apology. The real one. I stood. My knees complained. At 74, even forgiveness requires joint support. I walked around the table. Michael looked uncertain. I hugged him. He made a sound that was half laugh, half sob. I whispered, "Took you long enough." He whispered back, "I know." That was not the ending. Life does not end when people apologize, but it was a beginning. After dessert, Claire asked if I wanted to tell them. "Tell us what?" Emily said. I sat at the head of the old dining table I had purchased after Joan and I married. Nothing expensive, solid maple, scratched by decades of children. I looked around. I changed my estate plan. Michael immediately said, "Dad, you don't have to tell us." That made me smile. I know. 2 years earlier, he would have leaned forward. Now he leaned back. I continued. "My estate will not be divided the way any of you probably expect." Emily frowned. "I expect you to spend it, working on it." Sam laughed. I explained. "The house would be sold unless one of the grandchildren wanted it at fair valuation. The housing fund would receive the largest portion of my remaining lottery assets. Education trusts existed for all grandchildren. Emily and Michael would each receive enough that their retirement would be secure. Not enough to make working meaningless." Michael nodded. No disappointment. Then I said, "There is one more thing." I looked at him. "I bought Sunset Motor Lodge." His mouth fell open. Everybody stared. Even Claire looked surprised. "You did what?" Emily asked. "I bought the motel." "Why?" "It was for sale." "That does not answer the question." I smiled. The property had become run down. The owner wanted out. The location was useful, close to bus routes, hospital, grocery stores. I purchased it through the housing fund. We were converting it into transitional apartments for seniors and families facing temporary housing loss. Real rooms, kitchenettes, laundry, case management, no weekly rate sign. We were calling it Joan House. Emily cried again. Of course. Michael stared at me. "The motel?" "Yes." "The same motel?" "Yes." "Room 214? "Still there." He shook his head. "Dad, what?" "I don't know whether that's beautiful or insane." "Both," Tyler asked. "Can we see it?" We went the following month. The renovation was halfway finished. New windows, new doors. The old green paint was gone. A playground was being built where shopping carts once collected. Room 214 had been stripped to studs. I stood in the doorway. For a moment, I could still see it. The bed, the cracked lamp, the lottery ticket on the nightstand. The man I had been, humiliated, angry, alone. Michael stood beside me. "You okay?" "Yes." "You sure?" "Yes." He looked inside. "This was it?" "This was it." He stepped into the room. For a long time, he said nothing. Then, "I'm sorry. You already said that. I know. You don't have to keep saying it." "Maybe I do." I looked at him. "No." He turned. "Why?" "Because if I make you apologize forever, I haven't forgiven you. I've just refinanced the debt." He laughed. "You and Martin spending too much time together?" "Probably." We walked outside. A woman was speaking with one of the housing coordinators. Maybe 65. Gray hair pulled back. She held a folder tightly against her chest. Her landlord had sold the duplex where she lived. She had 30 days. Social Security, small pension, no family nearby. Our coordinator explained that when Joan House opened, she might qualify for a temporary apartment while they helped locate affordable permanent housing. The woman started crying. Michael watched, quietly. On the drive home, he said, "So this is what the money changed." I looked at him. "What do you mean?" "I always thought the story was you won the lottery after I threw you out. That is technically what happened." "No," he shook his head. "I mean, when people tell it someday, they'll say you got rich and everything changed. People like simple stories. But the money didn't fix us. No, it didn't make you trust me. No, it didn't even make you happy at first. No." He drove another mile. "What did change?" I looked out the window. "The options," he nodded. "That's all money really buys? When you have enough of it? Mostly? What about freedom?" "Freedom is options." That stayed with him. It stayed with me too. I was 76 when Joan House opened fully. 32 units, some for stays of 3 months, some up to 1 year. Priority for older adults, widows, widowers, and families displaced by emergencies. The old office became a community room. We kept one strange thing from the motel, the red weekly rates letters. Tyler wanted to throw them away. I had them mounted on a wall inside the administrative office. Underneath, a small plaque read, "No one should be defined by where they had to sleep during the worst week of their life." Claire said it was sentimental. I told her to bill me for the opinion. She did. My health remained good, mostly. At 76, good becomes flexible. My right knee was replaced. My hearing got worse. I discovered that young doctors all looked 12, but I lived independently. I drove, cooked, still badly. Michael came every Saturday morning. Not because I needed him, because we developed a habit. Coffee on the porch. Sometimes Tyler came. Sometimes Hannah when she was home. Hannah graduated without student debt. She became a social worker. I told her she chose one of the few careers guaranteed to prevent her from becoming rich despite being related to a lottery winner. She said, "Good. I've seen what money does to this family. Fair." Tyler went to community college first, then transferred to an engineering program. He worked summers. I offered to pay everything. He said, "Grandpa, you already set up the school trust." I know. That's enough, that phrase. Enough. I had come to love it. Michael recovered financially. Not because I erased everything, because he changed. Sold the big house, bought a townhouse, kept one car for 8 years, which I considered miraculous. He left the flooring company and started consulting independently. Smaller income at first, more stable life. He eventually remarried. Her name was Laura. The first time we met, she asked me nothing about the lottery. I liked her immediately. Later, Michael told me she had no idea how much I had. "Keep her," I said. "I'm trying." Rebecca remarried too. We remained cordial. At Christmas, she still came sometimes because of the children. Family after divorce can either become a battlefield or a weirdly shaped table. We chose the table. Emily kept trying to convince me to move closer to her. I kept refusing. "You're stubborn." "Yes, one day you'll need help." "Probably." "Then what?" I'll ask. She would look suspicious. "Promise?" "Yes, I meant it." That was another thing the motel taught me. Independence is not refusing help. It is having a voice in how help arrives. At 78, I did need help. I had a minor stroke. Very minor. My speech became slurred for several hours. I recovered well, but doctors told me driving should stop for a while. Maybe permanently. Michael came to the hospital. So did Emily. They stood near the bed. For one terrible second, I saw the future every old parent fears. Children whispering in the hallway. Decisions being made. Then Michael pulled a chair beside the bed. "What do you want to do?" I stared at him. "What?" "Doctor says you need help for a few weeks. Do you want me at your house? Want to stay with me? Want somebody hired?" I nearly cried. Not because of the stroke, because he asked. "What do you want?" 4 words. It had taken us years to learn them. "I want to go home." "Okay." "I want someone there at night for the first week." "Okay." "Not you every night. You snore." "I don't." "You do." "Laura says I don't." "Laura is still trying to keep you." He laughed. Emily arrived. "Did he ask what you want?" "Yes." "Good." She looked at Michael. "We trained him." Michael said something rude. We all laughed. That evening, alone for a few minutes, I thought again about the day he left me at sunset. If I had not won the lottery, would we have repaired things? I still do not know. That question bothered me for years. Maybe money created the opportunity for him to come back. Maybe learning about the jackpot forced him to confront what he had done. Maybe if I had remained a man with $400,000 in retirement savings instead of $25 million, his apology would never have come. I wanted certainty. Life did not offer it. So one afternoon, I asked him. We were sitting on my porch. He was 54. I was 78. "Would you have come back?" He frowned. "From where?" "If I hadn't won." He knew immediately. "Dad!" Answer. He stared at the pond. "I don't know. That hurt." But it was honest. "Okay." He looked at me. "You want me to say yes?" "Yes. I want to say yes." "But?" I was angry, embarrassed. Rebecca and I were fighting. I was blaming you because that was easier. He rubbed his hands. "I might have called. I probably would have." "Probably. I know." We sat in silence. Then he said, "But I know something else." "What?" "The money didn't make me stay." I looked at him. At first, yeah. Finding out shook me. I thought about what you could do for us. I'm ashamed of that. I appreciated the sentence. But after you refused to just pay my debt, I was furious. I remember. I went home and told myself you were selfish. That sounds familiar. Then Tyler asked me why I thought your money belonged to me. I laughed. He said that? Exact words. Good boy. He was 16. Better. Michael smiled. And I didn't have an answer. He looked at me. So no, I can't promise I would have fixed things without the lottery. He paused. But I can promise I stopped staying because of it a long time ago. That was enough. More than enough. By my 80th birthday, the original lottery money had grown in some ways and shrunk in others. Investments performed well. I gave away more. Joan House expanded. The housing fund helped finance 2 small senior apartment buildings. I kept enough for myself. More than enough. I learned that generosity without structure becomes chaos. So applications, boards, audits, rules. No checks handed out because somebody told me a sad story in a parking lot. Claire taught me that. So did Martin. Both retired before I wanted them to. I accused them of abandonment. They did not appreciate the joke. On my 80th birthday, my family held dinner at Joan House. I objected. Nobody listened. The community room was decorated. Residents came, staff, volunteers, my family. There was a cake large enough to injure someone. After dinner, Hannah stood to speak. I groaned. No speeches. She ignored me. Grandpa always tells people the lottery changed his options. I looked at Michael. He smiled. Hannah continued. But I think he's wrong. Careful, I said. Everyone laughed. She looked at me. The ticket changed what you could buy. Yes, but what you did with it came from before. I felt my throat tighten. You volunteered before you were rich. You helped us before you were rich. You cared about housing because you knew what it felt like to lose home before you were rich. She looked around Joan House. The ticket didn't make you somebody else. Her eyes filled. It gave the person you already were a bigger reach. I looked down. I did not trust my face. Then Tyler stood beside her. He held up the old Timex, my father's watch. He had given it back to me years earlier. I had returned it to him on his 21st birthday. Again. Apparently our family did not understand ownership, Tyler said, and Grandpa taught us something else. I looked up. What? That being left alone and being on your own are not the same thing. The room became very quiet. He continued. You can be alone and still have dignity. He looked at his father. You can have family around you and still fail somebody, then back at me. And you can get a second chance without pretending the first failure didn't happen. Michael wiped his eyes. So did I. Tyler smiled. Also, never throw away a lottery ticket. Everybody laughed. That helped. Later that night, after everyone left, Michael drove me home. I no longer drove after dark. We passed the road where Sunset Motor Lodge once stood. The old sign was gone. Joan House had a simple brick entrance now. Warm lights, flowers along the walkway. A woman sat on a bench outside, talking on her phone. I thought about room 214. I thought about the ticket. People often asked me whether winning the lottery was the best thing that ever happened to me. I always told them no. Meeting Joan was better. Having my children was better. Holding my grandchildren for the first time was better. Winning the lottery was not even close. It was simply the strangest thing. A piece of paper worth $2 became worth more money than my father earned in his entire life. But the paper itself did not know what to do. That was my responsibility. For a while, I thought the ticket had changed everything. That is what I told myself. My son abandoned me. Then I won. My life changed. Simple. But after enough years, I understood the story differently. The lottery did not change everything. It exposed everything. It showed me who assumed money created ownership. It showed me who loved me without knowing. It showed me where my pride was dangerous. It showed Michael what he had become. It showed me what I could become if anger controlled $25 million. It showed my family that generosity and surrender are not the same thing. Most importantly, it showed me that the worst day of your life can become connected to something meaningful without becoming good. I do not thank Michael for leaving me at that motel. I never will. Some people like to polish pain afterward. They say everything happens for a reason. I don't believe that. Some things happen because people are selfish, afraid, cowardly, careless. Sometimes there is no noble reason. The meaning comes from what you do afterward. I could have used the money to embarrass Michael, buy his house, refuse his calls, leave him nothing, make sure every person in town knew what he had done. For a while, I imagined all of it. That is the truth. In room 214, after the ticket was verified, I lay awake imagining revenge. A huge house, a new car, driving past Michael, giving money to everyone except him, watching him regret every word. You're on your own now. I wanted those words to hurt him the way they hurt me. But revenge is expensive even when you can afford it. You pay with time, attention, peace. Eventually I realized I did not want Michael destroyed. I wanted him changed. And if he never changed, I wanted myself free. Those were different goals. Money could not buy either directly. It could only create room. Room to say no. Room to wait. Room to see whether apologies arrived before checks. Room to help without becoming trapped. Room to choose. That was the gift. Not $86 million. Choice. I am 81 now. Michael calls almost every day, sometimes too often. Last week he called while I was napping. I told him elderly people need rest. He said, "You spent 70 years claiming naps were laziness." I evolved. He laughed. We talk about ordinary things: Tyler's job, Hannah's work, Laura's tomatoes, my blood pressure, baseball. Never the lottery unless something administrative requires it. That is how I know we are okay. The money finally became boring. Family became interesting again. A few months ago, I found an old jacket in the back of my closet. Brown, the same one. I reached into the pocket. There was a crumpled grocery receipt. For 1 second, my heart jumped. Then I laughed. No lottery ticket, just coffee, eggs, dish soap, the ordinary things of life. I sat on the edge of my bed holding that receipt, and I remembered a 72-year-old man standing in a motel parking lot while his son drove away. I wanted to tell him something. Not that he was about to become rich. That would have been the obvious thing. I wanted to tell him, do not believe the sentence you just heard. You are not on your own. You still have a daughter who loves you, a granddaughter with good sense, a grandson who will one day engrave your father's watch, friends who will tell you the truth, work worth doing, years you have not lived yet, and even your son is not finished becoming the man he should have been today. That is what I would tell him. The ticket would come later. The money would come later. The lawyers, the house, the fund, Joan House, all of it. But first, do not confuse being abandoned by one person with being abandoned by life. That mistake is easy to make when someone you love closes a car door and leaves. I made it for one night. Then morning came. The television turned on. 6 numbers appeared on the screen. And yes, one lottery ticket changed my circumstances beyond anything I could have imagined. But the most important thing that changed was not my bank account. It was the question I started asking. Before the money, I kept asking, who will take care of me? Afterward, I learned to ask, what kind of life do I still want to build? That question saved me more completely than money ever could, because someday, all the lottery money will be gone, given away, inherited, spent, invested in buildings occupied by people whose names I will never know. The house will belong to somebody else. Joan House may have another name 50 years from now. My grandchildren will grow old. My children will become the age I was when this started, and I will be a photograph somebody has to explain. But I hope one part lasts. I hope when Michael becomes an old man and Tyler gets impatient with him, Michael remembers the motel, not with shame, with wisdom. I hope Tyler remembers to ask, what do you want? I hope Hannah remembers that money given with respect feels different from money used as control. And I hope anyone who hears what happened to me remembers this. Never decide a person's worth based on the moment they seem to have nothing. You do not know what is in their pocket. You do not know what is in their future. You do not know what they have survived. And you certainly do not know what 6 numbers might be waiting for them in the morning. But more importantly, even if there is no winning ticket, dignity still matters. That is the part I would keep if I could keep only one thing. Not the money, not the house, not even the revenge I once wanted. Dignity. The right to stand in a cheap motel room with 2 suitcases and still know you are more than the way somebody treated you. The right to love your son and still tell him no. The right to forgive without forgetting. The right to help without surrendering yourself. And the right, at 72 or 81 or any age, to believe that one terrible afternoon does not get to write the final sentence of your life. Michael thought he was leaving an old man at a motel. He was wrong. He was leaving his father at the beginning of a story none of us could see yet. The lottery ticket was only the first surprise. Everything that mattered came after.
You bring me down for all to see, then switch it up and treat me right. You promise sun, but you bring rain. I still love what you do to me. The highest highs, the lowest lows. You take me to every extreme. Can't get enough, please let me be. But I love what you do to me. from me. And then you touch, I feel so much. I just love what you do to me. What you do to me. You bring me down for all to see, then switch it up and treat me right. You promise sun, but you bring rain. I still love what you do to me. The highest highs, the lowest lows. You take me to every extreme. Can't get enough, please let me be. But I love what you do to me. From me, and then you touch, I feel so much. I just love what you do to me. what you do to me. You bring me down for all to see, then switch it up and treat me right. You promise sun, but you bring rain. I still love what you do to me. The highest highs, the lowest lows. You take me to every extreme. Can't get enough, please let me be. But I love what you do to me. From me, and then you touch, and I feel so much. I just love what you do to me. What you do to me. You bring me down for all to see, then switch it up and treat me right. You promise sun, but you bring rain. I still love what you do to me. The highest highs, the lowest lows. You take me to every extreme. Can't get enough, please let me be. But I love what you do to me. what you do to me. You bring me down for all to see, then switch it up and treat me right. You promise sun, but you bring rain. I still love what you do to me. The highest highs, the lowest lows. You take me to every extreme. Can't get enough, please let me be. But I love what you do to me. From me, and then you touch, I feel so much. I just love what you do to me. I love what you do to me. You bring me down for all to see, then switch it up and treat me right. You promise sun, but you bring rain. I still love what you do to me. The highest highs, the lowest lows. You take me to every extreme. Can't get enough, please let me be. But I love what you do to me. and then you touch, and I feel so much. I just love what you do to me. And then you touch, I feel so much. I just love what you do to me. Oh, I love what you do to me. Bring me down for all to see, then switch it up and treat me right. You promise sun, but you bring rain. I still love what you do to me. The highest highs, the lowest lows, you take me to every extreme. Can't get enough, please let me be. But I love what you do to me. From me, and then you touch, and I feel so much. I just love what you do to me. love what you do to me. You bring me down for all to see, then switch it up and treat me right. You promise sun, but you bring rain. I still love what you do to me. The highest highs, the lowest lows. You take me to every extreme. Can't get enough, please let me be. But I love what you do to me. From me, and then you touch, I feel so much. I just love what you do to me. I love what you do to me. You bring me down for all to see, then switch it up and treat me right. You promised